It's been a crazy week. What's up? It's Big A the Mac Geek here with another video for you on this Friday. I think it's Friday today when I actually upload this. But yeah, things have been going on Twitter and on YouTube as well. And you know, you've got the whole Gary drama, Melissa Morg thing going on and all that weirdness. And I just wanted to speak about something today about a content creator that I really enjoy. Like, I can't think of many people that don't enjoy him, and that content creator is Rob, aka ComicsExplained. I really like the stuff he does on YouTube. I think he's kind of like a good kind of ambassador for comics, so to speak. But I just want to put it out there that I like his content. However, there is some stuff that he said recently that I don't know what the reason for the 180 is, but I just don't really agree with him, just because I feel like he already knows the answers to what he's saying. So this video it's not even going to be me debunking anything that he said. It's going to be himself pretty much providing the reasons or answers to questions that he should already know the answers to, because he answered those same questions at the beginning of the year in January. So yeah, I like his content. Don't want no beef or anything like that. I doubt he'll even see this, but this is him kind of debunking his own argument. So again, on Twitter, he's asked his followers, you know, a question in regards to Marvel's diverse characters, or the diversity characters, whatever you want to call them. They all new or different. Marvel Now, whatever those characters are, you know, the Riris, the Kamala Khans, and all that kind of stuff. And his question was this, legit question: if people are against Marvel's diversity push because of bad storytelling, what about classic characters, bad stories? Now the thing is that a lot of classic characters who have bad stories, at least it's the actual character. So if there's a bad Tony Stark Iron Man story, at least Tony Stark stories could then get good again. Whereas Riri Williams Ironheart Iron Man stories, they're not Tony's stories. They should be her own bad stories. So they should have her name attached, but they don't. They have Iron Man attached to her bad stories. And the same applies to some of these other characters as well. But then he also goes on to ask, on the bad story topic, Batman stories were so bad in the 50s and 70s that DC almost cancelled his comics. Now his stories are great. But that's Batman though. It's not like there was a straight replacement swap of Batman, a different character. Although that has kind of happened, I suppose, technically in Nightfall. But Bruce Wayne's bad stories are Bruce Wayne's bad stories. They then got good again. You can't apply the same logic to these replacement characters because they are replacements. So they're not those characters' stories, they're someone else's stories. But not only that, there's a whole load of things that Rob has said in regards to this kind of very situation. Well, I say very situation, kind of really into why people are unhappy with a lot of these new characters. So really the best way to kind of like go about this is to allow him to obviously say as to what we feel. Yes, there are a lot of bad stories. If people are saying there's bad stories, that's a legitimate criticism. I don't know why he's going for the push to try and, you know, form the narrative that people are being racist or have unconscious racism that they're not aware of. I think that's a really kind of shady thing to do, or to suggest about people, rather than listening to the criticisms. So anyway, in January, here's what Rob had to say about journalists pushing the notion that comic book fans were.
Diversity in comics is an interesting topic right now.
Yes, Rob. Yes, it is, because people are forming narratives without actually listening to what people are saying. It's never the actual diversity that's an issue. Obviously me, I'm all for it. I'm all for all characters from all backgrounds being heroes, because all people are capable of doing good things. And obviously all people are also capable of doing bad things. So heroes and villains should really kind of represent all people, in my opinion. But you're right, it is very interesting at the moment.
It's kind of a funny situation. And the reason why is because I've been going through these news articles, looking at people who are, I guess, looking at these posts that people are making, you know, talking about, oh, you know, comic book fans are lashing out at diversity yet again. And what I'm seeing is this common theme that these news articles are basically making the case that, well, comic book fans are against diversity because they're inherently racist. You know, they're against Riri Williams because she's a minority and they don't want to see a minority succeed. They're against the new 52 Wally West because he's a minority and they don't want to see minorities succeed. That's stupid. And that's probably one of the most irresponsible instances of journalism, if you can even call it journalism. But it's one of the most irresponsible instances of journalism that I've ever heard of or ever seen in any form or fashion.
Rob, you said it yourself. It's stupid. It's stupid to assume that. Just for that to be the first thing that people go for, you're saying it's stupid for journalists to do, for you to kind of insinuate it. I think that's also equally stupid. I mean, from your own words, you're kind of saying what you're doing is stupid, and this is you talking. This is yourself talking. Technically, this is you talking to yourself. It's stupid for people to say that. It's stupid for these journalists to say it, and it's stupid for you to say it like 10 months later, or 9 months later even, because I think your first tweets about it were like, what, in August, September time? So even by your own standards, it's stupid, so you shouldn't do it.
The reason why comic book fans are so outraged right now is because the characters they're invested in are going away.
Not only that, bad stories, bad art, terrible interactions with comics pros online. They seem to hate the fans. They seem to hate anyone criticizing anything. Some people are going to love some of the new stuff, and that's great. And obviously they can interact with the comic pros. But if someone just like, I don't really like what you're doing, you don't have to kind of demonize your audience. That's what a lot of them are doing, demonizing the paying customer. Why would the customer come back and pay for anything? It's, you know, there's many factors that play into this, but yeah, that is one of them. And you're right. You are right here about that.
That's why they're mad. What's happening is people are saying, well, no, it's like they're taking the notion of a character's race, they're slapping it on and saying, no, this is the reason why they're angry. It's not because the characters changed, it's because they changed into minorities. No.
See, it's not being a minority that's a problem. It's the bad storytelling. People are vocal about what they do and don't like. That gives you a perfect indication as to what they're on about. Me, personally, all the stuff I've seen online when interacting with people, it's never the actual character themselves that's the problem. It's to do with the writing and the characterization of that individual. They'll be written in a kind of token checklist way where they've got to be woke and what have you, and all these other things. And people aren't responding well to it. It's a clear fact. People aren't responding well to it. They're going to be vocal about it. It doesn't make them sexist or racist or whatever, or blah, blah. People are vocal about what they don't like.
In 2011, when DC came along and they said everything stops except for Batman and Green Lantern, their histories kind of stay intact, but everything gets reset. Whether you were a Superman fan, whether you were a Wonder Woman fan, regardless of what kind of a fan you were, people were lashing out. They were angry. Why? Because they were invested. Because they started reading comics in 1990 and they'd read, good Superman stories, they'd read bad Superman stories. They read great Wonder Woman stories, they read bad Wonder Woman stories. But they were there through thick and thin. They were a loyal fan to DC. And now they felt betrayed. They felt cheated because all that history was gone. All that money that they had spent, all that time they had spent reading those characters was all gone. And they were angry. They were outraged about it.
Bang, there you go. We were invested. We were invested. You can't just kind of replace characters and then expect people just to be happy with how it is and be like, look, there you go. You can't have anything else. You have no choice. It's Riri or the High Road. See you later. Don't care. You can't have that. People invested in a character for a reason. So to take them away in the manner that it's happened with some characters, I totally get why people are angry. And you totally get it here as well, Rob. So again, I don't know as to why your current words on the situation kind of contradict your view from 9 months ago. Again, it's so inconsistent. It's mad. It's crazy to see. Like it feels like it's two different people. Who knows? Maybe there's even an evil Rob that's taken over, and we've got Rob locked in a closet somewhere. Who knows?
There's this new 52 Wally West. I don't like him. It wasn't because he was a minority. It wasn't because he was African American. It was because when they started reading Wally West, they got into him because of Justice League, the cartoon show, because of Justice League Unlimited, the cartoon show, because that was the Wally West that they loved, because they were reading Wally West when he first became the Flash. They've been reading him ever since, and they just liked him. Comic book fans are as resistant to change as your average human being is.
See, what we kind of I say we, but what people are kind of resistant to, it's totally normal. It's not done for any kind of malicious reasons. It's literally just people are invested. This is a hobby that can cost a lot of money if you buy a lot. So if you're invested and you're enjoying something and then that thing gets taken away, of course people are going to be unhappy. In fact, people actually still want new characters. They just don't want them to replace the old ones. People have been so vocal about that. I can't believe people are like kind of misinterpreting it as something else. People still want new characters, and they still want the diverse characters that they already had as well. And they don't mind having new ones, but just going straight replacement and saying these guys are as good as the old, people don't dig that. You know what I mean? It just appears kind of forced and just a lazy attempt at having more diversity. There are better ways of doing it. Duke Thomas is a great example.
This whole diversity initiative, it adds a new dynamic because of the fact that these characters are minorities, but the fact that they are minorities is not why fans are adverse to them.
See? You knew this 9 months ago. You said it yourself. It's not the diversity that fans dislike about these new characters. It's not. These are words from your own mouth, Rob. You are debunking yourself here. I've not even had to really say much, but you're debunking yourself with your own words from 9 months ago.
Iron Man fans sit down and they say, yes, Tony Stark's done everything. Tony Stark found out he had a long-lost brother. Tony Stark found out he was adopted and met his biological mom. Tony Stark's been part of the Guardians of the Galaxy. Tony Stark's pissed off the whole superhero community in Civil War. Tony Stark decided to be a dick just for the sake of being a dick in Superior Iron Man. Tony Stark has succumbed to alcoholism and lost everything in Demon in a Bottle. Tony Stark has done it all. So they say, yeah, sure, okay, there's only so much you can do with a Tony Stark story, but don't just suddenly get rid of him.
To be honest, like, the only reason why I really have to say anything in this video is just because it's fair use. But if I just played his own video back to him on my channel, I'd be breaking probably copyright. So I have to say something in between just because it's like, this is perfect. It's perfect. What he's saying is like, I wish it could be just written up so people can just read as to what other people's gripes are in regards to what's going on in comics at the moment. It's like this version of Rob gets it. Early 2017 Rob just gets it.
Make something new. That's literally your job as a comic creator, is not to rehash old stuff, but to make good stuff, make new stuff. Use your imagination. That's what you're paid to do. That's what we as comic book readers buy comics for, is new things. If that wasn't the case, we'd all just be reading Crisis on Infinite Earths over and over and over again in DC Comics. Instead, we get new and we get incredible and we get amazing stories. And Bendis did a great job with Iron Man. And he's kind of, coming back around again. But the reason why fans are upset is because they sit down and they say, but I've been reading Tony Stark forever. Like, I've been reading him for so long. I love Tony Stark. I want to see Tony Stark come back. And even if he can't, just let me kind of, say, bye, man, it's been real. Don't just make me read Riri Williams, because I don't know her character. I don't know anything about her. I don't know. I can't relate to her. There's nothing about her that I find interesting. I find Tony Stark interesting, but I don't find her interesting.
Again, I'm just repeating myself, but what he's saying here is he's just so on the nose. It's ridiculously on the nose. He's explained the situation much better than I could ever. And also, he's doing it with his deep Rob tones, which everyone likes because he sounds like Barry White and what have you. But again, he's just perfectly laying it all out there as to what people's gripes are. But he seems to have forgotten these words that he said. And again, I don't get that. I don't get how there can be... Did he forget he did this video? I'm starting to think he forgot that he did this video and that he said these words.
And so because of that, now they're like, well, why am I going to read Iron Man if Tony Stark's not there? They don't have a reason to. Not only that, they feel cheated. They feel like Marvel's coming along and saying, you need to read this. All right, this is the only thing you don't have any options here. You don't have any choices. Name me the last time you were okay with somebody coming along and telling you you didn't have a choice in a situation. No one's ever okay with that. It's just the way people are. But it's like that with every facet of comic books. It's not a racial thing. Jane Foster became Thor, and you know what Odin's Son fans said? The same thing. that Barry Allen fans said when Wally West became the Flash. Oh, Jane Foster sucks. Jane Foster's trash. Jane Foster does not need to be Thor. I've been reading Odin's Son since before Ragnarok. Or maybe there were some people that read Thor Ragnarok and were like, damn, man, Thor's dead. And then J. Michael Straczynski picked up the title, brought Thor back. They watched him recreate Asgard. They watched him find the spiritual essences of all the Asgardians, return them to their normal bodies. They read all that stuff as it all just kind of progressed. And then suddenly, Odin's Son's gone and Jane Foster's Thor, and they felt cheated and they felt angry because they felt like all that time and money, all that energy had been invested was just basically thrown away.
Honestly, if he's reading all this stuff off the cuff from his mind and just blurting it out, that's really good. Like, I can barely get my words out properly, but he's saying whole sentences, paragraphs, chunks without stopping, and it's just perfectly formed. Like, I want to clap, but I've got my phone in my other hand, so I'll just do this. Because what he's saying is just straight up fire. He's not messing about, and he's just laying it all out there. I keep on saying that. Every little bit, I keep on saying that. He's just laying it out there, and he's just putting it out perfectly. It's what people's gripes are. It's like this video, I literally think he's forgotten he made it.
So, it's not a racial thing. Amadeus Cho. You know, it's really just about the fact that people become invested in characters. They become attached to those characters. They watch the characters grow. They watch the mythos grow.
You said it yourself 10 months ago, 9 months ago. It's not a racial thing. If you know that, and if you remember saying this, then why on Twitter are you trying to insinuate that it is a racial thing? Like I said, you've debunked yourself here in regards to it being racial. Whether it's these recent tweets or the ones you did a couple of months ago, your own video debunks what you said. Because you said everyone's gripes perfectly. I'm not even having to kind of dispute anything here in regards to any tweets you said. This is you doing it. I'm only doing it via you, but you know, that's weird or whatever. But you're debunking your own argument here, not me. These are your words. I'm just playing them back. I mean, I'm talking to you as if you're going to watch this. You're not going to see this or watch this.
Stop referring to comic book fans as racist because they're against diversity. Comic book fans are just like anybody else. Comic book fans are like NFL fans. If somebody had been following the Chicago Bears for years and years and years and years, I don't even know if they're a team anymore, but they've been following the Chicago Bears forever, and then suddenly the Bears uprooted and went to a different city, they'd feel betrayed because they were loyal fans. They were there through thick and thin. It's just like anything else. It's just like anything that people get attached to. They don't want to see it change. Not because they're adverse to change, but because they love the character that they have. Because they're attached to that character and they don't want to see it go away.
See? He perfectly said it. There's other elements involved. Art, storytelling, writing, editing. But that is kind of the main, I'd say that's one of the main kind of bits of it. Obviously you throw in those other things as well. And you know, you've got an entire shit fest, so to speak. But that is one of the main things of it. Like there are other elements that get thrown in there as well. Like I said, the interactions with Comic Pros online, you know, trying to goad people into violence and all that kind of thing. And they're not kind of really that apologetic about it unless they get caught. And that's not helped. That's not helped things. I think like Comic Pros online, like the kind of more positive they are and the more they just focus on comics on there. And I know it's their own Twitter account and they can say what they like and I don't have to follow and yada. But if you want to make sales, you kind of, you know, you have to be nice to fans. Ignore the ones that obviously are being horrible. Mute them, block them if you want. But the ones that are just being critical, they're not bad people. They're not. But Rob said it best himself. Stop calling comic book fans racist. It's nothing to do with racism. It's a thing to do with change. And other elements as well. Let's not forget those other elements that also get thrown into this. So, man, it's crazy. It's crazy. His own words. I'm not even having to say anything. Like, comment, subscribe. Hit the bell notification and share as well. I don't know. There's nothing else for me to say about this video at all. I don't think there's anything else to say, but I'll tell you what I'd like. I'd like to know what has changed Rob's mind in the last like 9 months or so. What's caused him to do a 180 and think that comic book fans are somehow now racist, when obviously he didn't think this 9 months ago. What's really changed? I'd love for someone to be able to tell me. Anyway, I've been rambling on long enough. Like, comment, subscribe and all that, share. And as always, I'll catch you on the next one. The link to Rob's video is in the description. Make sure you check it out so you can get the full context.